Let's not bring that up.
So tomorrow is Valentine's, right? I don't have a Valentine's, my son doesn't have a girlfriend, so I was like, so we're gonna do something together, like we have in the past 17 years. I like, this could be like the last Valentine, that it's just you and me together. He's like, actually, I won't even be here next year. Oh, wow. And I'm like, oh. Whole body happy. Girlfriend. Thank you.
I would like to call this February 13th, 2024 Moab Area Travel Council Advisory Board meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone and I'd like to go around in introductions first. Been a while, at least for me, I think everyone else too. My name is Julie Sun. I'm the chair of Red Tail Air.
Lori McFarland, Vice Chair, High Point Hummerding TV.
Sharon Kinsley, board member, Penlands Natural History Association in the MIC.
That's like you're the
Yeah.
Rebecca Monso, board member and Element Hotel sales manager.
Brian Hunnings, board member and Reckless Lodge.
Happy Fat Tuesday, everyone. Viga Metzner Moab to Monument Valley Film Commission Director.
Oh, hello. Robert Riberia, Assistant Marketing Director, Grand County Economic Development.
Jason Taylor, Moab City Liaison.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Mr. Taylor.
Well, thank you, excited to be here.
Ben Federgill, Economic Development Department, and welcome Jason.
Thanks.
Mary McGann, I am the liaison for the Grand County Commission.
Melissa Stocks, Economic Development Department.
Lacey Shumway will be here shortly.
Alex is over there. Okay.
Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey there, y'all. This is Alex, board member and owner of Sabaka Sushi and 98 Center.
Awesome. Hi. You guys want to go?
Hold on. Tammy Howland, I'm the airport director.
Welcome.
Lisa?
Lisa True.
I'm a Moab citizen to be heard, and once that opportunity is presented toward for me.
Great. And then next, we need conflicts of interest, disclosures, ex parte communication. For anyone here or online? Hearing none, going on to the next. Any citizens to be heard? Yes,
Should I approach the bench, I mean the table?
yes, please. You can have a
Table if you
seat.
want.
Have a seat. Or you can walk
First of
around.
all, so lovely to see you all.
You might want to state your name and
Some of you I've seen already today. My name's Howard Trenholm. I've been a Moab resident since 1997. Fortunately, enough to live in Steenville and have a little business that actually contributes to this body in a TRCCA tax. First of all, I really want to apologize to you because thankfully, first of all, thank you. I got the report for the expenditures for 2022. It only took me till December of 2023 to get this information of what happens to my restaurant tax, which I humbly collect in a small way of 1%. I gave you a lot less last year. And I'm really sorry because I know that money is designed to help my cause out, but unfortunately, I have not seen the same volume of visitors in the last few years. And actually, the money that I contributed in 2022 was about $6,000 I sent upstate. And then I got your report for your expenditures in 2022 as a chamber, and thankfully to the commission, because I realized the commission is in charge of this. And I looked at the in-state promotion and advertising, specifically advertising, and I saw $4,900 and something dollars. That was less than my contribution. So I probably can expect that the next year, which was last year, would be significantly hammered because an institution that was designed by the state to support Moab City. I just want to remind the county that Moab City needs this body to work for them. And unfortunately, there was a Hail Mary sent by the commission on the 21st of December in 2023, which I watched on YouTube. And one of the commissioners stood up and said, you know, I've been hearing from all the businesses up and down Main Street and how bad 2023 has been for them. It's been terrible to hear that. And the commissioner suggested that perhaps some emergency funding from one of the massive fund balances you guys are sitting on. Shouldn't be sitting on money at the public's expense, especially if that money is supposed to be used for marketing. Now, I've voiced my concerns with the commission, but I'm just voicing them with you. I want Moab City to succeed. Your average occupancy last year for the city, from data I received from you, was less than 60% for every single month of the year. I was berated by the commissioner once upon one commissioner saying, no, we're at 70% annual average. False numbers. 1 month in the last 3 years peaked above 70%. That means we have a lot less visitors here. Please help Moab City out. They're talking about a property tax. You have marketing funds that can fill the hotel rooms. Primary purpose. The more money you make that way, the more mitigation money you have to help the rat tax, the 4.85% the city receives, the 4.85% the county receives, the 4.25 TRT tax, the 1% TRCCA tax. Please help us. I don't want the city to start levying property taxes on the property owners or the businesses. We got hammered this year with lease increases, and that was courtesy of the county that approved a property tax increase, but doesn't approve marketing spending. So please help us. We're struggling downtown, and I wish you would tell the commissioners this, because they need to help Moab City. Thank you for your time. I look forward to serving you in my capacity, and I hope to generate more money for you this year, but I need your help too. It's a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard.
I'll watch your rest on YouTube.
Thank you. Right, any other citizens to be heard? All right, and going, up next, we're gonna go over to, I think at the end, we have, member reports, so we'll do that then, like the last couple times. But, for discussion action items, the first up is, Melissa Stocks, and, I'm gonna take this over.
Yeah, I'm gonna share on the screen just for Alex because Alex is Zoom. Okay. So Jenny asked me to do a French sales mission recap. So I attend Paris, January 22 to January 26. It was an excellent sales mission. I went with different DMO. So I went with Canap, we went with Soleil, we went with Garfield, we went with Sage. During that sales mission, I have 14 appointments. The 14 appointments with travel agency and 10 with influential journalists from different magazines. But I want just to highlight the bullet points that I have here. So when I come back, I learned this from the French clients is that the travel time that they want to come to Moab is from April to October. For accommodations, they are looking always for breakfast and food because they're coming with family, with children. Of course, the French people, they know really well about food. So the experience of food, they know the USA don't have the excellent experience, but at least they're looking for something fancy and unique here in Moab. Cultural and recreation is interesting, event participation. So this was something new for me. I didn't know that until I went over there, that they want to get involved with our event, our local events, like the art festival, the musical festival. Even they want to attend to the school sports games. Like they want to watch baseball, football, because they don't have those sports over there, car show and other things. For environmental engagement, we have the program participation. So they want to do kind of like a partnership with a trail ambassador. And we were talking that with them, we want to partner that and do like a voluntary tourism to bring these people to engage with us. And of course, to be positive to the planet, to create responsible. Also for informational interest, they want to start, I was talking with them what's the programs that we have here, or the nonprofit that we have here. So they want to work together with Science Moab, Leave No Trails, and the Trail Ambassador. And then at the end of this sales mission, I was kind of like the most successful DMO because at that day, that was the press release of the flight from Paris to Phoenix. And Moa now has a flight to Moa to Phoenix. So everybody was like, oh, Melissa, we can go to Moa, we can go to Moa. And tickets right now is $700 to $800 right now, so it's cheap. So that was interesting. And at the end of the sales mission, I attend a Utah 100 anniversary of film and TV celebration. As you guys can see on the picture, I went to a movie theater. These ladies, who you guys can see on the right, they made a book about Thelma and Louise. They came to Moa last year and they created the book. It's in French, and they are looking right now for someone who can support this book and translate it in English and to publish this book. Because they love so much Moa, they're gonna create another second book. So they're coming this July, they're coming to Moa. So at the end of this document that I share with you guys can see all the travel agencies and all the influencers people that I talk. And if you guys want a personal connection, more than happy to do that.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Of course.
When they're coming in July, who's that organized by? Like Utah
It's-
Tourism or just?
They
us?
just come in by themselves and they
Oh.
would like someone to support and everything.
Oh, okay.
It's just the two ladies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mhm.
I was able to meet with them when they were here last time. Originally also, and they're just, yeah, we all had lunch together and talked about filming in Thelma and Louise. They're lovely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. So that's our Paris market or French market. And I think this looks fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Melissa.
And if you guys need, again, if you guys need the contact for each people, happy to make the connection.
And I haven't read enough of it. Have they expressed to you what types of activities that they're looking?
Oh, yeah, and one of the activities that they really highlight, they like dirt bikes. They like UTVs. They like, of course, going to the national parks. They really like that. But they're looking kind of like what they cannot have that
Right.
experience in French.
Sure.
Because they are looking for, dirt roads. They don't have that. So they were like focused on that.
Nice. This is lovely. Thank you.
And then I want to highlight that they very well know about the Rocky Mountaineer. So yeah, the only kind of like difficulty that right now they have is the logistic of how to be here in Moa without transportation. That's the only thing.
So these are people you met with.
Mhm.
Okay. And then,
And I cut some bullet points, what are they looking?
okay.
So like I met with a guy who is a partnership with, what's this company of cars, electric company of his cars, Tesla. So this guy has a partnership with Tesla in California, and Tesla created a roadmap to come to Utah. Just follow the charging stations. So they say, Melissa, can you provide us how many charges Tesla station do you have so we can create a MOA map? So that was the connection. So that was interesting to know that they're so focused on sustainable electric charging station. And now I mentioned that we have a electric dirt bike here in town, and they were like so shocked about that. So they're moving down that road.
I see.
Mhm.
Have we been there? Have we done a sales mission there?
No, this is the first time.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like, would you go back with the?
Yes, I think it was completely different clients, the German clients or the Switzerland client. This is more focusing on other things, so yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And was the Utah, weren't you piggybacking with other, you said Garfield and other?
Garfield, Canap, Salt Lake, and Zion.
And they were all happy.
Yes,
They're like,
yes,
I don't really know how that all works, so good for you.
yes. And of course, like for example, we usually when we go to this sales mission, we bring Park City. but because they have the helpers, they don't need to promote, we don't need to promote our city to the French. They have better ski resorts over there. So, yeah.
Ooh,
Yep.
Who says they're better? It's best no on earth. Yep. Awesome. Anything else?
Can I chime in?
Yeah, Alex.
Hey, hi. Yeah, well, how do you think the international travel feel is? I know it's been down the last few years, and I guess I'm asking, like, what do you feel like the sentiment was when you were over in Paris? How did it feel
They're
like people were wanting to like come to the States? Were they doing, I mean, were they able to say the similar things? Like they didn't travel much in the last couple of years, and now maybe they're looking to do so in the future.
Yes, they're ready to come to the state. Because they don't know right now what's gonna happen this year because they have the Olympics. So maybe half of the people will stay in Paris or half of the people will leave Paris because they don't want to be with a crowd. So they don't know exactly what will be the strategy this year. But what they know for 2025, they're ready to come to the state.
Anything else? Anyone else? Questions? Questions,
I
comments?
have a question for Alex. Alex, do you notice, I mean, French people love good food. I'm guessing you've noticed. Is that a guess? I mean, you've noticed that those folks aren't coming because they're not here, right? Hasn't that affected you guys a little bit?
It was, before COVID. We had in the summertime French visitors, German visitors. I think the vast majority of international tourism was those two contingents, and that was in July, August, and since then we really haven't seen many. I've seen a few, but yeah, that's a big clientele, and they have folks from France. They like to travel just like the Germans do. I think it'd be great to have that clientele back. I know we've got French Canadians. They love to travel. It's similar, but yeah, we'd love to have the French back a whole lot.
Okay. All right, next up, presentation, Abiga. Got a presentation?
Yeah, I was just informed about this yesterday afternoon, so I pulled some notes together and some spreadsheet things, but I don't have any powerful PowerPoint presentations for you today. We'll work on that. So I'll probably take 20 minutes, but maybe not. This is pretty much just starting the beginning of this year at this point, because I can't even go into what happened last year. It was just too much. I am now the director again of the Moab to Monument Valley Film Commission, for those who don't know. And I got my title back. I'm not just film commissioner, I am film commission director. Ben, thank you for helping advocate for that, among other things. Director Ben. So I attended the Sundance Film Festival at the beginning of this year. I held 2 day-long events in collaboration, not in competition, with the Montana Film Commission. Some people thought that was awkward, and I said, this is a collaboration, not a competition. And I've known the film commissioner there for many years, and she let me piggyback on the events that she had already planned, being that I only got funding for this year, a few days before everything happened. So I didn't know what I was going to be able to accomplish this year, without knowing whether I had funding or not. So 2 events, day long, at the Treasure Mountain Inn. Robert helped me design some really amazing banners that I was able to pop up. We had a very long list of people who showed up to talk about what it is that we do at film commissions, which is still something that a lot of people don't understand what film commissioners do and how they help facilitate film productions in the area. I handed out a bunch of swag and had flyers from the Moab Museum of Film and Western Heritage, among other flyers talking about the film incentive program that we do have in the state. The temperature is interesting with young filmmakers and young and new at Sundance, just so everyone is aware that across the board, it's very, very slow in the film world. Being that we had a writer's strike and a SAG-AFTRA strike, the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA Actors Guild last year, and that took a big toll on productions that were, some that were already in process of being in production and others that hadn't started up. Some of those are trying to decide whether they want to or not. So it's not just slow here in film world, it's slow everywhere in film world, except for those that picked back up and went at it, and that's globally, not just in the United States of America. There were lots of young filmmakers, like I said, and it was interesting to talk to them about the fact that Moab, Grand and San Juan County, which I still do represent, Moab to Monument Valley, and what I'm now calling Thelma and Louise to Forrest Gump. Because it gives us a little bit of a better visual for those of you who are visually savvy. They don't, a lot of people still don't know what a film commission does, like I said, but they also don't know that Moab is real and that we have such a long filming history. One that I'll speak of later that you all know is the 75th anniversary of this film commission and 100 years of filming in the state of Utah. I do have a very long list of attendees that showed up to those two events, about 130 people, so new, some new and old, that I now, when I have time, get to reach out to and say thank you so much for attending. There was a Meet the Film Commissioners event at Sundance as well. There was a lot of producers, directors, and film commissions from across the globe, and we all met and talked about what it is that we did and had a couple minutes to speak about our areas. And then on the Sunday night of Sundance, I did a bar buyout event with the Montana Film Commission at Colley's Bar. I basically sponsored the chili and the cornbread. It was very well received. We had over 310 people attend that.
Wow.
And I have those people as well, all as we someday, at some point, I'm going to ask for potentially something more technically savvy than a pad to start taking down email addresses and phone numbers. I was able to piggyback also off of the list from the Montana Film Commission that had assistance, and they were able to put those numbers in, but my list is numbers of pages of people that actually just physically signed in to tell me that they were there. But yeah, 310 people was, you know, a good amount of people. In between, just after Sundance, I then went up to Salt Lake again and attended two different events. One was a legislative dinner. And I was lucky enough to have gotten support from Mary McGann and Jock Hodler and Bill Winfield, who also were in attendance. And that felt really huge to have three Grand County commissioners up there at the legislative dinner. I spoke with numerous representatives and senators, a senator or two at that event, and it was nice, and we saw some sweet performances for the Utah Cultural Alliance. The next morning, early, and for the rest of the day was Film Day on the Hill in conjunction with Cultural Advocacy Day. I also spoke to numerous representatives and a few senators there. Film people wore red to show who we were and in solidarity, and also Bill Winfield was presented with an award there for helping show so much support for this motion picture incentive program that we're trying to continue to have done.
Did it
And
pass
that
the
was-
Senate yesterday?
It passed through the House Committee yesterday, and so it looked all fully favorable, so it goes to the Senate next week
Oh, okay, next week.
for the full ride, and then we get hopefully the senator, Governor Cox to sign off on it. Yes. So I was just gonna say that House Bill 78 was what we were there talking about, which is, was an interim committee, and it's continuing on to the Senate floor next week. hopefully to Governor Cox, and this is to try and take away the sunset clause and put the rural Utah incentive that we're now trying to call a post-performance rebate program, because the word incentive gives people shivers. We don't like shivers, and we're hoping to have that put into review. So it would be a 2-year review process, and then they decide whether they're actually going to continue to fund it with the $12 million rural Utah incentive, rebate program or not. The review is huge. It sunsets, it's June 30th of this year, and then any kind of program and filming for larger projects doesn't look good. So we're all being very supportive of that. I flew Red Tail up to Salt Lake 2 times. It was great. Just want to throw that out there. It's one of those things where you question for a moment, but I literally felt like I was in a tank in the air and very, very safe. I was like driving my 1994 Ford F-150 in the air. I just felt safe and secure, and it was super rad and cool. And Dan is an awesome pilot. I was lucky enough to have him twice, but he's great. I just wanted to throw that out, that was my one mode of transportation, because the amount of times I have to go back to Salt Lake these days is way too many to be driving that summit. My next stop was Los Angeles. I've been out of town a bunch. I went for an AFCI, the Association of Film Commissioners board meeting, of which now I am a member, newly elected member of the AFCI board. I met with Film Commission board members from far off lands. We had Gulf Coast of Australia, Dunedin, New Zealand, British Film Commission, South Africa, Mississippi Film Commission, Calgary, Vancouver, BC, the Netherlands, New Zealand Film Commission, Film Ireland, and me, where it all started in little Moab, Utah, representing over 300 film commissions across the globe. We rewrote bylaws, hadn't changed since 2014, just that solidarity. You might all want to know that happens across the board everywhere. We discussed strategic planning for this year as well as for next, and did a lot of brainstorming exercises. Spent half a day with the new advisory board members of the Association of Film Commissioners International, which are a bunch of really, really cool studio executives from Warner, HBO, Disney, Sony, Apple, and Entertainment Partners, which is a payroll company. And so that's the room that I'm sharing with on that side of things, which is pretty great. Back in town now and working on 75th anniversary prep for this year. Lots of things still in my brain, working on dates for the shindig / soiree, as yet untitled, for something in the fall at Red Cliffs Lodge, where it all began 75 years ago. Potential short film competition, award-winning screenings of that, potentially a fashion show, maybe a musical act, and awards to local film professionals. A lot of that is still in the works. Also for the 75th anniversary, working with the Utah Film Commission to do film trail markers. That will be, we're going to start with 3 this year, one at Dead Horse Point, one at Arches, and one at Red Cliffs Lodge, talking about film history. So there's a film trail and it's going throughout the entire state, but we're getting 3 of those put in. How's my time? Am I still, so I have a full moment? Okay. I'm not talking too fast. Working with the fantastic Robert. Sorry, I called him Bobby. I'm just trying to do better. To help me do some reconfigure some artwork that we've had in the past, to do some banners down Main Street for the 75th anniversary. I have the city of Moab contributing the installation. And hopefully, because we're going to use some special lampposts that nobody else gets to use, I get to put them up and keep them up for the rest of the year if all goes well. And if like, yeah, we just got the sizing for it 2 days ago, so we have got a little work to do ahead of us. Trying to get San Juan County to participate as well. They have different ways their cities run and where they get their funding from, but I'm hoping to extend it, not just to Moab, but also to represent my other county that I do also represent as part of my jurisdiction. Also doing some cartvertising, worst word ever, but it's not mine. But sorry,
What is it?
City Market, cartvertising. So I'm going to have little placards on the front and the back. I'm not real estate, but I am gonna take over that real estate. And have just some 75th anniversary film commission stuff on there. I thought that was a huge score personally to, so people who are, we're not driving carts. What are we
Right.
doing?
Pushing.
Pushing carts and having carts pushed into them, get to see a little thing at the city market. And Robert is helping me with that artwork as well. Working with the OSTA lovelies, to try and potentially, I'm going to sponsor a photo booth at the Grand County Fair. I have some cute examples of things. I'm trying to get them more film friendly, but there's like, you can sit kind of on anything out that they have, like, here's somebody on a chicken. There's somebody on a tiger. I'm trying for like horses and cowboys and, whatever I can do, but, you can sort of go in and it'll be like the 75th anniversary film commission sponsorship in the corner and any other stuff I want to do there. So that's for the Grand County Fair in July. Let's see, also potentially cutouts of talent, that were in movies along that film fairway is something else we're talking about. Okay, other miscellaneous stuff, and then I'm pretty much done. I was just judged the short film documentary series for the Zion International Film Festival, which is next week in Orem. Don't know if I'll be able to make it up there yet, but I'm trying to go at least for a night or two because I was a judge, and many filmmakers from across the world are actually gonna be there, and it's a good place.
Zion Film Festivals?
It's the Zion's International Film Festival, ZIF. It's been going on for, I think, 7 years or something like that. It's big. They bring in the filmmakers. It's not just local filmmakers. So whoever, and they're trying to get like over 130 actual filmmakers.
It's not like Zion, like National Park. It's
No, it's the Zion's International. It's just the name.
Come on, Zip sounds cool.
ZIF.
It does. I
We
just
will-
didn't know. I don't know the
Yeah.
Utah.
Inside.
Zion.
Zion's.
Zion, right?
Yes.
Zion.
I've been continuing to help facilitate a few small projects that want to film here and a few larger ones that I cannot discuss. As you all know, I have a walking NDA thing.
Can we guess?
Sorry,
Can we guess?
you cannot guess, because I cannot give you a yes or no answer. You cannot confirm, I cannot confirm or deny. I know that you all really want to know what's going on with the Kevin Costner project that some people have called Horizon and American Saga. I don't have word on that yet, but they do need to shoot their chapter 3 and Horizon, the anchor location is here in the Moab area. And so despite whether they shoot a lot of it in other counties, which as I said, it's a collaboration, not a competition. Great, let them do that there. They still have to come back here. Don't know the timing of that yet, but something that I'm very much helping to facilitate in any way that I can. The first 2 chapters of those movies are going to be released this summer, June 28th and August 16th. Which is a really big deal to have 2 movies come out back to back. Theatrical, that means in movie theaters. So sorry,
August what?
June 28th and August 16th
In theaters.
in theaters.
Do you know,
With-
are we working or can we work with the local theater in town to do something?
We can try, and we have been trying, and we will continue to try. For those of you who can't see me pointing at myself.
Yeah.
My next bullet point was that I am hoping to work with the local theater and working towards a give back, which is an AKA a community screening, because we are not allowed to call it a premiere because that comes with other parts and things that we aren't capable of being able to provide for actual premiere status when it comes to theatrical premieres, such as the red carpet, which I might try to do a red carpet myself, but the talent and there's other parts to a premiere. So a give back is something I'm looking at for cast, crew, and anyone who worked on it here. TBD, to be determined. Couple other things, and then I'm done. The last evening of the Moab Sci-Fi Fest is this Friday at the Mark, starting at 7 o'clock. Something I help sponsor. They're showing Arrival tonight. That's something that Richard Codd and his wife Nora put on, and it's really fun to go and see. Usually they're older movies. We did like The Day the Earth Stood Still was last week. Sponsoring Banff. I am sponsoring the Banff Film Festival that will be coming up at some point this year. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, and you can find out the dates for that. Hoping to work with the Free Movie Moab again this year through the city and potentially try and focus on films that were shot in the area for the outdoor screenings in the park, because I think that would be the best way. Licensing for a lot of those is not as easy as we can, it's not as easy to figure out. And then I can skip the last two. And talk about them another time, but, I think that's pretty much it. Anybody have any questions?
And for Horizon on June 28th, like when it's released.
Mhm.
So will that be primarily like all like that one movie based in in Moab? Like, do you
The
know?
first chapter, the
Yeah.
first movie was, with the majority of it was filmed. Whether it's gonna look like it was Moab
Oh,
completely, it's hard to say because,
Got it.
you know, there's special effects and post-production things and stuff that they do. The whole movie isn't supposed to take place in southeastern Utah. Let me just preface it with that.
Gotcha, okay, I just
But
wanted
the
to
fact
know.
that they
Yeah.
did and, you know, spent, 6 months here, some people filming here and eating here and going, hotels here, was, yes, the first movie was majority filmed Grand, San Juan, and a little bit in Emery County for the first one. The second one was primarily Washington County, and then here. And then my assumption, is that the next two will probably be the same, simpler, mostly Washington County, and then a lot of it will be based on whether this House Bill 78 passes or doesn't, because if we don't have a rural Utah rebate program, then we'll potentially take it, somewhere that will help incentivize the project.
Do you see it as, I know it's like foreseeing the future crystal ball, but like a domino effect being like, oh, it was filmed here, I wanna go visit there, like Yellowstone has had, with
Yes.
Like-
My crystal
crystal
ball,
ball. Yes.
film tourism
Mhm.
is a major aspect of something that we talk about throughout the state through film commissions and, something, Ben and I have been discussing in terms of focusing, it's a thing.
Mm.
Thelma and Louise Point is Fossil Point. Does anybody know that? Only a special few. It was always called Fossil Point until Thelma and Louise, and it is now, you cannot search Fossil Point on a Google map. But you can search, it'll bring you the wrong way. You don't want to go down Schaefer Trail, you want to go around the other way, but film tourism is a massive aspect of it. Yes, I saw it in a movie, and, as long as it doesn't say that it's the Grand Canyon like Fossil Point did. Yeah, everyone assumes.
Yeah.
There's locations in films that are what we call doubled for other places. So
Got it.
Dead Horse Point / Thelma and Louise Point was supposed to be the Grand Canyon, so people just assume that that's where they're going to.
Mhm.
Can I jump in?
And that's,
Sorry, go ahead, Sharon.
I was just gonna say, a lot of people come in and when we tell them, if you go up to Dead Horse Point, you're overlooking them, where Thelma and Louise drove their car off the Grand Canyon and they're just shocked. And say, well, that just tells you how pretty it is.
Yeah.
They made it look like Grand Canyon, so. It looks like Grand Canyon. Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody caught the front page of the Salt Lake Tribune about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. But it was in anticipation of the film tourism bill that's going to the Senate and basically economic drivers in the state, the number one growth mechanism for the growth industry for the last 2 years was film, contributing over $9 billion in the state in 2 years.
As a percentage of film tourism that the
So-
study has said is 30% of people come to this area or to the state of Utah, 37% because they saw it in a film. It's not, 75%, but it's a lot, and $90
It's a huge
billion
number.
is
Mhm.
a huge number. So, yeah,
That was it.
Does it, any other questions? Comments, concerns? Thanks.
Thank you. All right, next up, director's report.
So, just following with what Viga said, I'll just start with, we were fast out of the gate, in January.
Oh, sorry.
Was Robert?
I skipped,
Maddie,
yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Maddie's coming just in 5 minutes, so.
Oh, okay.
There you go, first one?
Yeah, that's why I meant to
Alright,
say
I'll
that.
just catch up from the front of the year. So first thing, first big event was attending the 100 Years of Film event at the Capitol. Went with my wife and Thelma from Thelma Louise.
We forgot.
And also Viga. And I know we just heard a lot, but I do want to say, the Viga has moved quickly and she's kind of a model for what we're trying to do in our office. And I'm actually very proud, just want to talk about this for a minute because it transfers to what we're gonna do on the travel side. Is without much warning, she was able to use a pivot strategy and she immediately plugged into the Sundance Film Festival and found opportunities without spending a lot of marketing money, because she didn't have a lot of plan time. She was able to get in and get traction right away. And when we have people that think that our department is responsible for filling up corporate branded hotels and stuff, I'm gonna rely back to this because this is owned media or earned and it's precision strategy. And so very proud that she plugged in right away and did a lot with not having to own the event or spend a lot. Because I don't think a lot of people that were attending those know who was the major host. And if they did, that's fine. We were part of it. In that time, the film commission social media has been top notch. Not only promoting the beginning of the 100-year and the 75-year from Moab to Monument Valley, but also pushing the agenda of trying to get the film incentive sunset removed, the House bill. There's been a lot of effort. I know Viga wrote a lot of letters, working with Commissioner McGann, Hadler, and Winfield. Immediately pivoted to be back here to talk to the lobbyist. Mary was great to get us on the docket there with not much warning. So I feel like our film department in Little Old Moab has been a big player in moving this, and I've done very little. It's been on the commissioner and our commissioners. And so it'll be very exciting when that thing passes. And I think in October, you all heard me say, my only goal was to get behind the film commission and the film commissioner to give them a bigger boat and bigger bait to fish with. And I'm 100% confident that we're positioned where we need to be. And this supports that statistic, which if it's 35 or 37% of tourism is influenced by film, then we're positioned. And I know there's gonna be big efforts. What I've heard is the strategy is probably more targeted to the fall. But we have some good moves going. The cart thing in the grocery store. Every tourist or person coming here that's either camping or staying in a motel with a kitchenette, they're in buying groceries. It's another chance to remind, we've got a film museum up the river. We should be celebrating this history and we should be trying to push the tourism. So I'm actually very happy where we're at with that. I like that we set the model right out of the gate for 24. Following that, on the EDD side, we had the second phase of the Trail to Tomorrow, which is our consulting project, the strategic plan. That office too, again, moving quickly, pivoting. We lost our Vista, so there was a lot of extra work in coordinating with a very short period of time. But we actually had 7 user groups. We had soft recreation, lodging, the entrepreneur ecosystem, the infrastructure group, cultural group, the arts group, and the guided tour tourism groups. Each one of those roundtables gave us ideas for strategy. Each one of those could go a different way. We have a very untapped arts culture here. We need to understand our infrastructure model. We have 3,100 hotel rooms in this county. We're building more. I use the statistic in our office that if we were at capacity with just double lodging at each one of those, we have actually doubled the size of our city in one day. And so that puts a lot of stress testing on our hospital, our water system, and our solid waste district. So we need to understand those things. That's very important, what we're doing. In addition, we had 2 open forums. Got a lot out of that. We learned from the guided tour group that, you know, tied to the air travel limitations that we're starting to have, as well as big challenges in the Colorado River with the levels and the ability to take out at height and the extended amount of distance they need to travel and then bring stuff back. It has really hit these guys' operating model, and we need to understand that because it's this challenges people's planned trips out here and what the providers can provide in terms of their operating model. Is that a fair way to put it? And then next up was SULAG CERTA. SULAG is becoming CERTA. By my position, I'm automatically put on their board. So as an oversight from the county. But what we do have in place there, and Commissioner Winfield has been very big in pushing this and helping us get this set up, is we have a revolving loan fund that's grant funded, it's Grand County only. And basically what it is, it's a fund for microloans. So businesses in the county that need to shore up, fix things, they can do microloans, you know, from anywhere from a couple thousand to maybe 100,000. We have the ability in our office to set the interest rate based on the size of the loan. And it's competitive under prime, it's based off prime. So we're trying to get the word out. You may have seen in the Sun News, the announcement, we sent a press release. We're hoping to see something in the Times Independent. So that was the first piece there. The second piece is we met with their other group the other day. They have a homeless program that I think our office is plugging in because we have not really been hit by a homeless issue yet, but we should be planning, preparing. I can tell you from places I've lived, when it happens fast, and it's not something you have to go away. They're also in their office, they do transit planning. They're very theoretical. So I asked their person, I said, please come down here and we will show you around and show you the challenges of having Thompson, Castle Valley, just our own set of places. That was that was one of the other roundtables, was the transportation group. Look that up, sorry. But so we're plugged in there. The next thing that was up was we received our GOYO grant for the Arroyo Crossing project. We have it, we've signed our contract. We have not awarded it yet, so we will award that properly. Sky and Forest worked with Caitlin Myers and the commission and a lot of others very hard getting that. You may have seen the article a couple weeks ago in the Times Independent. One of the things is it's a little bit of a hot potato in that some people are critical of our office for giving the second phase of a grant to the same project. We think we're being kind of rewarded for that, and that was kind of that article in the paper is this is a project that in theory supports local workforce because it's deed restricted housing. So it's taking more of a long view effect on projects and trying to take a grant in a phase program and extend it out so that we can help complete the bigger project. So that's the strategy behind that. We have just received the funds for the grant that we were able to award the chamber the check today for their piece, and then we will be doing the Moab Child piece later this week. We've met with Moab Grown. Science Moab, the Moab Free Healthcare Clinic. We've plugged in with the BLM economist. Our big gaps still are getting a pipeline with the high school and USU, but we're working to connect to that. And then I think the next big thing was we were at the Contour Air inaugural flight. Big props to Tammy and her team with a lot of challenges. We have air service here. And so we know that there's challenges coming with the way that model's been changed, you know, to the point it's affecting everything, the Rocky Mountaineer, tourism here. Bottom line, we're just making it a little harder to get here, so we've got to prove to people that it's still worth the effort. Next thing was Tourism Day on the Hill. Interesting day, good presentation by the tourism lobbyist talking about some of the challenges we have going forward. You know, there is a big effort to get some professional sports teams here, having worked very closely with professional sports teams. It's sexy and it's fun. There are a lot of arguments that the economic trickle-down model is not one that is perfect for our community. I will guarantee you, if we get it, it is going to very much affect tourism dollars. So you can just say I predicted that on February 13th if it happens. We heard about some of the bills that are being legislated with focus on TRT and what happens to TRT. We heard Sim Gardner, the Kim Gardner Institute, give a tourism presentation. They're very bullish on what's going to happen this year. I personally am very bearish, so I listen to it, but I am not willing to dive in and think that this is going to be a great year. It's an election year. We've already got a lot of challenges and the numbers are trending down. So I think we're going to model in our office like it's going to be flat or downward trending. I hope I'm wrong. One thing that I think is coming through, and this was very much by the tourism lobbyist, is that Utah has a big tourism model, but a lot of it is what we've been talking about is the recreationalist versus the tourist. And a lot of the recreationalists, I'm gonna keep butchering that word, are basically Utah residents going to other counties or Colorado residents coming over multiple times. You know, they may have recreational, you know, whether it's UTV, bike, hiking, whatever their thing is. That is not necessarily the high yield tourist. I don't want to say high quality, but people are starting to understand that that demographic is very different. So they're starting to raise their hand and say, be careful how you legislate and carve up this TRT, because it may not be as much of a golden goose egg as people may have thought before. And then with that, I think that's all. Oh, the other thing is I have really kind of watched the trend lines on the ski visitation and meeting with the BLM and some others. That really trends a lot with the national park visitation. It's almost, I don't know if they're correlative, but they do correlate. I just don't know if there's causation there, but you can almost lay the lines on each other and they track the same way. Through the work we're doing with Trail to Tomorrow, I can tell you right now that ski pass renewal this year was only at a 60% rate. So there's a 40% decrease there. And as of late in January, and the final numbers that people will really start looking at are January, the end of January. But ski visits are down 16%. And that may be snow levels, it could be a lot of things, but anecdotally, I have a lot of buddies back in Colorado. For the first time ever, Saturdays and Sundays, they're not spending 5 hours in traffic getting to Vail. They're not waiting 20 minutes in a lift line. So the model may be getting flat. I don't know, but it's something we should at least be aware of and look at it as maybe a warning indicator that our tourism year may be down a little bit. So we'll model for the good, but that's one of the scenarios we got to plan for. And with that, any questions or comments? Me?
Were you gonna mention love or the dashboard?
Oh, we do have, so we have, we're getting ready to renew our co-op renewal that will go on, right? Am I getting this right?
We are renewing that contract.
The contract,
Love
the
community.
love community, that we will be taking to the commission next week. Big hats off to Robert and Melissa because they've been getting a lot of pressure from me and they've gone back and negotiated back that the dashboard was late, so there's some reduced cost in the model. In fact, Melissa just turned in the contract today, which she pulled back from a week ago. And, there's 160K of delta back to the county. We do have a dashboard up on the Grand County Economic Development webpage. It's the first thing up there, and it's up there because I've been screaming, and hawing based on what I've heard to get it up there. But, and no, I'm not looking at you, I do know there was some lodging and rightfully so, actually, but, it's up. But now we need to get to the drill down and say, is this useful? We need to get to the vis-a-vis. We need to go that farther step. We have Kate Finley back, with Event. She's helping us really stress test the Placer AI. Because we need a geofence. We need to know that when there's a folk festival, how many people were in that park for 2 days? I don't want to hear from Love and these others that we can tell you how many people were there for the week and then you can back it out. It shouldn't be that hard. And with a lot of what I've learned about geofencing, this data is going to get worse, not better, because it's all based on your cell phone. And your cell phone companies are working very hard to get you more and more privacy. So it will dilute. The visa view that we need to understand is very important because that's going to help us extrapolate who our European visitors are. So we have it in place, but it by no means is third generation or, something that I'm boasting about that, is user friendly or that it's ready to be used, criticized, if it's helpful, complemented, but it is starting to give a view into this stuff. In the next week or so, you'll start seeing the EDD webpage become more resource linked and have some actual data on it we hope is useful. Regarding Love, we are looking at going forward and once we have this signed, we'll start doing the winter plan or the winter campaign, right? Which we have moved the start date to when it's signed. We basically push the trend line back, so it'll be a fresh start and it'll go. So that's where we're at with Love.
Were you talking about Germany?
And then the other thing is, Brian Martinez from NAVTEC and I are splitting a booth at ITB Berlin, which is the largest trade show for tourism in the world. So full disclosure, he registered and we made the choice to pay the other half and go as a two-man team to scout it, understand it, and bypass going with the state of Utah, who will have their own booth there. We'll save about 10K by doing this. We'll scout it, and the idea is to come back with a report of, is this worth doing? And should we do what we did at Utia and get a group of us to go buy a very big booth and represent a bunch of different interests? In my previous life, I did a lot of work in German conferences and big shows like this. The way that we ended up attaining customers as we learned how to write white papers or give presentations where we could lead the breakouts, and that usually drew people to us. So we'll go on that strategy. All I'll say is we're going on our own and not with the state. And as I pointed out at the Tourism Day on the Hill, they had a big blown up arch that you walked into the conference with. And that arch came from Grand County. I know that we need Utah Tourism Office of Tourism, but I think the Utah Office of Tourism needs Moab as well. This goes back to the Southern French delegation president asking to sign his memorandum of understanding in our county so that he could show his entourage what existed here. And the words from his entourage, who I met early that morning to get them started on their tour, to the time we met at Red Cliffs, was undescribable. And the state representative made the comment that Mother Nature has her favorites, and we're definitely in one. And I think we can take maybe some of that strategy and market it that way. I think I missed that in my review too, that was a pretty big deal for us. And on very short notice, Commissioner McGann, Viga joined us, and Lori was there. It was a very good event that again reinforces that they are having the same issues in a very primary market that we have here in a very remote county, and that is overloved, overuse of their lands. And so this again is a place that we can share best practices and push a responsible recreation, trail protection, environmental protection model. And instead of looking at it as a tug of war that we're not promoting, maybe that is our promotion. We've got to understand what that opportunity is and maximize it. So that again was a very huge connection and a big opportunity for us going forward. So.
You first.
Couple of questions. First of all, are we close to a presentation on a marketing plan for this year?
I'm gonna ask Robert and Melissa on that one.
Yes, we do. Remember that we present that to you guys when we applied that co-marketing?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys approved that?
Right, but I mean like specific action items, like,
Yes. The
Okay.
thing is, we need to pass this contract, commissioners need to approve, and then.
then we can do that part. Okay, second of all,
Don't we want to recommend them
yeah,
before they do that?
that's part of that, but my other question ties back into love. And us signing a contract with them. My point being is, would it maybe make more sense if we broke out parts of the marketing plan and assigned them to different marketing companies? Because I'm sorry, not that impressed with one. I kind of feel like they feel they have our business and they have to put in the bare minimum, i.e. they can be late on the dashboard and there's no consequence to them, right? So if we broke up the marketing plan and we pieced it out to a couple different companies and we're like, our money is just as valuable as everybody else, prove you earned the business. And then we can kind of look at that and be like, okay, here's the results, real measurable results. I really don't like putting all of our eggs in one basket.
So to answer your question, you're saying exactly what I've been saying. I'd like to have a horse race.
Yeah.
3 companies. We are locked in a bit with the co-op agreement until we've used it up. But we have already put, and it's in this verbiage, right? That we know that we're gonna start in April writing the next co-op, and it is my strategy to have 2 or 3 companies writing a co-op application so that we can pick the best horse, so that we get away from exactly what you're saying. Because I have the exact same, you said, like, and ask these guys if I've been saying what Brian just said for 6 weeks now.
Also, so are there campaigns outside of the co-op that, I mean, maybe we could, look at that as well? I know that in the past we've had campaigns, there's co-op that's specific, like a specific project, and then we have other campaigns as well. Do we have that?
There's a couple things. One is, and I know I'm going over, but so push me if you need me to wrap up, but, one is we have a lot of talent in-house. So we are realigning and dusting off. We've been kind of hounding these guys that we need to get on our Discover Moab And you put this up against these big efforts like tourtexas.com, these people that we're seeing market a lot. So we are baselining and measuring the number of hits we're getting, and we're posting new content on a much more frequent basis and trying to understand the trend. I'd like to get at least 6 to 8 weeks. We're 4 weeks in, so that we can start making a move one way or the other. The next thing that we're starting to do, and this is really important, is we are trying to start evaluating our unearned market. So I don't know if you saw the article in Cyclist UK. So I believe that that partly came out of Melissa working with the sales mission teams out of the UK, because at the first UTM meeting, the UK representative was showing us small bits in Cyclist UK. This is a road cycling magazine that is like a coffee table book. And if you saw last week, their article about Red Rock, you remember the title?
Red Rock.
The Red Rock Fun, or it's just alone the 16 photographs in there, and working with Robert and Melissa, we just said at a very conservative rate, that's $500 a picture. There's 16. So that's an $8,000 in place just through the photographs. Then there's probably a 20,000 word essay that lists 4 local vendors. It gives you directions on how to get here, where to fly into, what to do here. They've basically invited a new gravel bike route, which is basically riding up Schaefer Trail, which is most people's access to the White Rim. But we need to understand all this unearned marketing, and it's the kind of things that are like, this is a high quality one. I want to put a value on this. Then we have something like the Moab friendliest places. And our joke in the office is, well, they obviously didn't go to the deli at City Market. But looking at that thing has shown up in a bunch of different places. Under different authors. First one being that we kind of pieced apart was a real estate person. So is this clickbait for something else? So we've got to understand what's a valuable article. There's a lot of very valuable articles about top 10 train trips, and it's not one. If you go to Condé Nast Traveler since 2021, there's 52 articles in there that reference Moab, Utah. So as we're putting that strategy up against other things, we need to understand that. It also goes to, if you're watching Bravo TV, to, call out Brian, how many millions is that worth having the Sister Wives wedding there, 2-hour shows, where one of the things we had coming out of the entrepreneur group is, why aren't we doing more to promote destination wedding tourism? So these strategies, and I think I'm backing what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get very nervous about a paid media strategy that's traditional and old, when if you want to watch the Super Bowl, you can get a subscription to Peacock, but if you pay a little bit more, you don't get advertisements. So why should we be spending for traditional advertising that people are going to buy their way out of? We need to be much more strategic on the earned and the owned media and go that direction. That's why we're collaborating a lot with Maddie and the GCAT and in that area. So that's that answer. It's probably not one that's making you 100% happy right now, but
No, it's much better than
it's a big pivot strategy.
It's
So
good. It's good
yeah.
stuff. So.
Yeah, okay.
So given the fact that you're bearish on tourism economy and the visitor economy, do you have a strategy to be less bearish? Since it seems to me that.
Well, here's why I'm
You probably
bearish.
have a
Here's why I'm bearish, is reading The Economist and Wall Street Journal Travel. The trend this year is that US domestic travelers that traditionally took 3 trips will probably take 1. A lot of US travel is revenge travel, that meaning going out of the country. I'm on the board of the Moab Music Festival. We've seen that a lot last year, and we'll see it this year. A lot of our major donor patrons will be in Europe instead of at our festival, which will fill the pain there. So I think what we need to do is we need to understand how to get into the French market and not wait on a 2-year sales cycle, like come now. We need to understand, maybe it's going through LA, population and doing some kind of advertising, whether it's a Moab Mondays or something like that, where we're getting a million hits that starts bringing in an Asian market that we can't directly market to in China. But we have lots of opportunities, lots of places to stay here, to get people over here. So that is what I'm talking about, is a precision strategy. Like, let's go find the market and be able to move quickly, not be locked into a contract from a year ago that says, no, you can advertise in Chicago, Texas, and these places. We know that, you know, our air travel is coming in from Denver, Salt Lake, Vegas, and now Phoenix. Well, we now know that there's direct travel from France to Phoenix. So in being bearish, it means let's go after that. Let's put those dollars there. Let's try and meet all, like Brian Martinez is gonna go over early and try and meet with all the people that we've met with on previous sales missions, people that they can start marketing to get over here to understand what we have. And then we'll, you know, I'm gonna try and see who from the French, the signing is there, that hopefully we can reconnect and get people. So it's more being much more targeted than just blasting out some paid media message that, like I say, we have a lot of unearned media right now. So, you know, is it repackaging, redirecting? We're gonna get a lot better on our blog, Instagram, you know, out of our own office. And I've asked every group I've talked to, except I forgot at the chamber today, is to, you know, we would love any criticism, and I would suggest that look at Loudon, Virginia, look at tourtexas.com. There are places that are working very hard to get tourists to their markets, and they are spending a lot of money trying to understand social media to do it.
So bearish means that we're hungry as opposed to giving up.
Oh, no, yeah, we just get better. Like I say, we're harder to get to. Let's just show people why it's more worth getting here than going to the other place.
So I know we've had, like billboards and signage and all that at the Denver airport when we were flying between. Are we taking those out of Denver airport now and moving them over to Phoenix?
I don't know. I mean, you know,
Because there's really no reason to have it at the Denver airport unless they rent a car and come drive.
I don't think they're up anymore.
Oh,
I mean, that was a previous campaign.
okay.
well, and I mean, this is my piggybacking on what Brian said. What I would love is when we ask that question is like, what's the data set that supports either doing that or not doing that? What's the data set that says, yeah, what's the Q rating on our billboards that tell people to slow down? I have a feeling it's pretty low. We can change that message in a different way and get our Q rating back up. You know, so we'll see.
That might be a 3-hour debate.
Yeah, but it's I got really.
Come on, Mary, you can do it.
I got really thick skin, so I'm not worried about it. But anyhow, that's bearish just means having to be much more creative and strategic, not giving up one bit.
Does have any questions? All right, next up, it's not trail mix, it's Grand County Active Trail Certification.
Yes,
Thank you for coming.
yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Madeline Logowitz. I go by Maddie, and I'm the director of Grand County Active Transportation Trails, which we call GCAT for simplicity. And I'm on the agenda for a 10-minute presentation. Actually didn't know about this meeting until yesterday afternoon. I've had meetings all day. So you'll have to wait till next time. Make sure to get it on the calendar, because I would like to give you guys kind of a comprehensive presentation, because we're working so much with economic development, collaborating on a lot of projects. So I guess for now, I mean, I have an idea of some stuff you guys might be interested in, but I'm also curious about what you all want to know about GCAT and how we're working with TRT and economic development on projects. If anyone has any questions?
I do.
Or direction?
What are your pain points?
What's a pain point?
Like, what's causing your part of the organization pain? Like, if you could wave a magic wand and make something go away, what would it be?
Yeah, so it's like, so impacts like in the field that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Yes, so a lot of so we do maintenance on the trails as well. So we have two programs. We have the responsible recreation program, but then the original core program is trail construction, maintenance, and design as well. And so what we spend a lot of time dealing with out in the field is user created damage. So that can look like, a common one is multi-trailing, right? So people going off trail, which is, has environmental damage. It's also honestly puts our access at risk because that's illegal to do if you're on wheels. If you go cross country, that's an illegal activity. So that's something that we have to be really careful about taking care of. We also see trash and specifically a lot of human waste out right now in the field. So that's, around trails, dispersed camping, lots of scenic viewpoints, which is really unfortunate. And then there's, sort of bigger events that happened, like the fire in, I want to say that was 2021. That was an unattended campfire. So, which we don't know if that was caused by a visitor or resident, but it was an unattended campfire that caused, I forget how many millions of dollars worth of damage and, a large portion of our mountains. So those are the impacts that we're concerned about primarily. There's a long list. We also see vandalism. There's a whole list of impacts we see, but our goals are basically teaching visitors how to protect themselves. So that's safety. So trying to minimize search and rescue incidents. We have, if it's not the highest right now, it's one of the highest search and rescue incidents in all of Utah. So very high. How to protect the environment, so how to minimize this environmental damage that we're seeing on the trails, because that's basically like our product, right? Like, come see the beautiful scenery. It's not as beautiful if there's human feces, like at a viewpoint, right? So we're trying to minimize that. And then the third is how to respect visitor experience. So our community is really lucky because of, could go on, but because of basically the resource management plan that the BLM put into place in 2008. We have like a really sort of well-designed layout for how all these recreation groups interact with each other. Everyone kind of has their own little zones. So other communities have a lot more trouble with user conflict on the trail. Other communities, they have like even days of the month, dogs, odd days of the month, no dogs, or bikes and hikers. They have like lots of strategies to kind of handle having a lot of people in these areas. So we've been really lucky so far in avoiding that, but that's definitely something that we're seeing. We're aware of because other communities, it's like something that is a serious concern for them. So we're trying to stay ahead of it. So there's a lot of things that aren't laws necessarily that we want to educate people about. Like I would say, a big one, dog etiquette, right? Like you can have your dog off leash if they're under voice control, but that makes some people uncomfortable. Or you can fly your drone in a lot of areas, but some people find that invasive. Parking issues, that's also a contentious issue. So really trying to educate people about like, this isn't a law per se, but here's how you can be respectful of the community, driving in town or other visitors so that we don't start having people come and have negative experiences in the community with folks on trail.
Where do you feel like the education falls short? Because I feel like there's so much effort that's put into the education, but then it hurts me to hear that you still struggle and this is still your number one pain point.
Yeah.
Like if
Well, the
you could do
program has
anything
been around
differently, what
since
would you do?
2021.
Uh-huh.
So we're not that far into it, I would say.
Okay.
And when we started out, we had 4 staff in the field for 2 months. So it's still a very new program. If this group is interested, we did have USU do a study on the Trail Ambassador program.
Yeah.
So that looked at the effectiveness of the in-person education at trailheads. It also looked at some information about where people are getting their information about trails, which I think ties in really nicely to marketing, right? Because education and marketing, there's a lot of overlap.
And they could
in
be
that area.
the same. Is that the same one that you presented to the council not too long ago, like last year?
No,
No, okay.
no, it's new, yeah. I think there's still actually a portion of it they're working on with GIS. They send people out with little GIS beacons, I don't know what you want to call them, and so to see where people go and how long they spend at places. So we haven't actually gotten that portion yet, but we have all the survey results in.
Yeah, time back to kind of what Ben said, like when the French delegation came out, the one thing that stood out to me in their whole presentation was what they've implemented is real-time visitor updates for anyone who has a smartphone. So you can see who's where, And it warns you like, don't go here because the wait is an hour and 45 minutes. Like, if people could see how many people were on trails or like just geofencing, right? If you're gonna come here, here's the rules. Boom, 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 boom. Like, everybody has a smartphone, and I know with 4 people, it's nearly impossible to do what you wanna do, right? But to use the technology, like, that's the one thing out of that visit that stuck out to me the most, like how useful that would be if we could do something like that.
You have a lot more than 4 people.
So,
We do, well, we have field staff, so they're not maybe equipped to be working with smartphone geofencing, but.
yeah. Well, everybody's got food, so may as well know the rules about it. Yeah.
I think the messaging is out there. I think they do a wonderful job. The MIC does their job. I mean, my staff is constantly telling, I think, honestly, it's hard to say, but there are people that come to visit that just think they're entitled and can do whatever they want. It doesn't matter how much you educate them, they're gonna do what they want anyway. We get them into the MIC that come in and you tell them, well, no, you're not supposed to do that. Well, I can. I can go do that if I want. It's public land.
They just don't tell you, they go do it anyway.
Right, or they just don't tell you, you can just tell by the look on their face, they're gonna go do it anyway.
See, what's interesting, I'm sorry, I'm gonna relate my work that I do as a film commission nerd / steward of the land to any film production that comes here has specific rules and permit regulations that they have to follow on public land. And they are not out there pooping,
No.
because they also have to have a regulation, toilets available. Like, there are certain standards that film crew comes here, but they are standing by so it's training, but I don't know how you train, or it's, right, how it's different because you have 150 film crew in an area, and you have 150 civilians, how to get the messaging out.
And that's what I'm saying, I think the messaging is,
Yeah.
I think people choose to ignore it.
I'll go back to, this is the opportunity, I mean, these guys are the first Leave No Trace gold certification, because they invented it. The French, this is where we're starting to say, let's start sharing the best practice. One, it may not correlate, but the ambassadors may be helping reduce the amount of SARS calls out. Yeah, it spikes at different times, but, there could be data here that says that this is starting to have a traction that is a leading model, not a reactive model. And that's what we're trying to go figure out if this is the opportunity.
I mean, are there fines? Like, if people are, like, what happens to like Joe
Well,
Schmo?
first you have to get them, you have to catch them, and
Well, you have the
BLM law
BLM.
enforcement, we have what, one in this area?
BLM is like Montana.
Yeah.
It's like Montana, Montana has one of the lowest per capita law enforcement per square foot. We have the biggest BLM land in the, we're, what are we, 87% public land in our
96.
county?
We deal with that with OHV
Yeah.
permits. Even though we're not selling them anymore, people would come in and, well, I don't need one. There's not enough law enforcement. They're never gonna catch, I'm not gonna see one. So why would I buy one?
But also law enforcement, like, you can't just be a trail ambassador out there and see someone and
No,
do
you
it
can't
because
do
you're
it.
not
And,
law
and they
enforcement.
should, I
So they
would
can
hope
call law
they
enforcement.
can call,
So
but
they
I
have
would
spot
hope they
devices,
don't.
so they
up
have
front.
very specific training about, safety. But they can call the sheriff, they can call BLM law enforcement, and they have a whole card about who to call for what. Like, for example, if they see someone scratching on a touch wood panel, that would be probably a case where they'd call BLM law enforcement, since a pretty serious federal crime. Can I just, one comment about all this, because this is something we think about all the time about, the messaging's out there, what's the best avenue? So that USU study does have some really good information. I mean, if we're looking at how to change people's behavior specifically, then there's a lot of evidence from the USU study, but also from other studies around the country, that the in-person interactions are what actually influences people's behavior. I mean, it's kind of like the greeter at Walmart, right? It's like that human to human interaction that allows people, to make a human connection about like why the things that are being asked of them are important. And then if they have follow-up questions too, there's a person right there who can explain to them, right, and give them more detail. And then also just to the, kind of the conversation about bad actors, you know, the people who are just like never gonna never gonna apply. I mean, personally, I do believe that that's like a small fraction of the people who really just go in with that attitude. But before my time, you know, I heard that kind of the old school mountain bike community had a lot of, kind of that attitude going on of like people riding illegal trails and don't tell me what to do. And that as the culture locally has changed, it's kind of spread. So that's not something we necessarily see with that group anymore, because what's happening is that since the culture's changed, they're kind of self-policing, right? So people are like, hey, you're off trail, like you need to get back on here because X, Y, Z. So we don't have that law enforcement presence with BLM, like we just don't have that here. We probably never will, but we have, you know, eyes on the ground because of the other user groups. And not necessarily in a negative way, but just in that, you know, people care and they're willing to educate each other. And so, you know, as we have new user groups coming in that are kind of in that, you know, in that phase, like that might not be how they are forever also, that culture can evolve. And if we get, you know, the local buy-in, we can help kind of enforce those values. My personal opinion.
Anyone have any questions?
I was gonna ask, I don't know if this is probably like a pipe dream down the road, but if we're on BLM lands, has there been discussions at any like federal levels of funding for this program or programs like this on BLM lands? If they can't, you know, if they don't have the rangers or whatnot, like, I don't know, I'm just curious if conversations have happened. I know that
Yes, they give us money.
They do give you, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, so we have agreements, assistance agreements with the Forest Service, the BLM and the city. So they don't all necessarily go directly into this program, but into our department for either the trail infrastructure side or the education side or the overlap between the two.
Okay. And then at one point, and again, I apologize for my ignorance, at one point there was discussion of adding like the OHV trails and all of that, and I didn't realize that happened.
So actually, it's the second day of our new full-time motorized trail ambassador, and that's all grant funded. Pretty awesome.
Okay.
So Kelton, if you guys see him around. So this year we will have a full-time motorized trail ambassador and a part-time motorized ambassador. And so that's someone we hope can interface with like Jeep Safari and all these events, and then also be out on the OHV trails.
I think that was gonna help a lot.
Yeah. And everyone loves Kelton. He's great. He's got a really good like background in OHV stuff.
Yep, what was his name?
Kelton Reese Sullivan. He'll be at the motorized committee meeting on Thursday.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Maddie.
And then, so we got a couple things left and, I would think that the bylaws are gonna take more than 20 minutes. Kind of talked about it in our scheduling thing. Do you guys, would you like to go have that at the end and kind of have that as like takeaway and some people can work on that? Or else we're gonna kind of miss, I mean, I could stop it after 20 minutes, but what would you?
I think we need to approve the minutes because we're
Oh,
way
sorry.
behind in the minutes.
I gotta update the sky. We don't have that. We're gonna do it the next meeting.
We're like 6 months behind then. I got a
No.
note today.
I think we just have November and December to do.
Okay.
I think.
January, February, 4 months.
We didn't do January.
Right,
We
but
didn't have a
so
meeting in January.
we're controlled by state statute. They're supposed to be submitted 24 hours after approval. And approval's supposed to happen in a certain way. So I think that's an issue.
I'm almost wondering if we only have December. Because we did a bunch in December, didn't we? Didn't we
Mhm.
do
I
a
thought we
bunch in
did.
December?
Oh, we do too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
so I think
just
we might
December.
only have December to do, and then we didn't have a meeting on January, in January.
State law, that's all I'm saying is we've got. Supposed to be, we keep pushing off approving minutes. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but that's what the admin told me today.
And Sky just told me this morning. Can we,
well, there's nothing to approve.
Yeah. we look into it also, if we're. Do you guys know? If we look- I wasn't there last 2 months.
the recording has to be posted within 48 hours. And
They're all.
The recorder is when it's ended, it posted automatically,
so the recording is in 48 hours.
but the minutes not.
The minutes are supposed to be approved at the following meeting. But it does happen. It's not as bad as it, it's, does happen, right? That hasn't picked up.
Section 8 says it's, okay, that's fine.
Get that caught up.
I'm not going to jail.
We'll bail you out.
Thank you.
Prison,
Thank you.
There's a slap in the hand.
You're the vice chair.
No, I'm not.
Are you not?
We haven't voted.
Realistically,
You can
in a meeting, you still become.
go on to the next one, discussion, Mr. World, but the bylaws. I said there's a lot to it, but I can stop at 20 minutes. If you think, or else we can go.
I think we need to do the other stuff first.
Member reports and then the discussion.
And then the chair,
Chair.
vice chair and secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to do discussion nomination of chair, vice chair and secretary? We did have a discussion, with Ben and Melissa and Sky just about secretary, just to catch everyone up. We don't have an admin, and so EDAB, let me know, correct me if I'm saying this wrong. EDAB is, also redoing their bylaws, and they are adding a secretary position to their board, correct?
Think so.
Um,
I think we have one.
and just as long as I've been on the board, it's just kind of always been a employee that has done it, so, would anyone like to, be secretary? What it would entail is, to take down meeting, the minutes of the meeting, report back on it. Discussion,
Anyone?
anyone?
It's a little, take minutes of the meeting and then give it to the chair to approve, I think, to look at first, and then it goes to the, right, isn't that how?
Yeah, and I did have a discussion, I started it just with AI, to record it and then to, try that. It's kind of very gray area. There's nothing in any recording, but I'm just wondering if anyone would like to be secretary.
I mean, there's devices that record meetings and transcribe it. So-
Correct. I think so. I wanted to look more into it.
Don't you use one of those?
He was
Look at
recording
Onboard.
personal conversations. I deleted it all. It's funny when you see your personal conversations in print.
There's an app called
What are you
Onboard,
talking about?
which does all of
Everything.
that. Onboard.
I wanted to explore that option a little bit more. I think that's why it's been a little bit delayed. It is a lot of work, and it's a volunteer-based report, so.
But the person can use the posting, right? Like you can watch the YouTube clip or whatever we're gonna post and then just transcribe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Right. So we're adding a secretary to the board. That's what you're thinking.
yeah,
Potentially, it's a conversation.
Is that
Otherwise-
something that we want? Well. Do you want to do?
just kind of started the conversation of it, and I was
Yeah.
gonna ask Mallory about it, just if there is any AI thing, because I just think that's a lot to ask for. Yeah, I don't have that time to do
Right.
it, so.
You're doing them now.
I was gonna ask, just because for the other committees I'm involved with, when someone's taking notes on it, it's usually like discussion ensues, or that, it's not, like a full transcript, it's usually like 3 pages maybe from a 2-hour meeting. Is that, are you guys trying to do it more detailed?
It has been pretty detailed in fact,
Yeah.
like Ben and everyone. Tammy, sorry to throw you out here,
No,
but
it's fine.
Tara, are you aware of how she does it for the airport board?
She,
Pretty detailed.
she listens to the recording and just extracts the important stuff.
Okay.
And she also makes notes during the meeting.
And like the important thing is to have the correct names and for voting and things like that, all right?
Can we just get clarification if it needs to be distributed within 24 hours?
No, it can't be distributed until it's been approved.
Approved.
Right.
Okay.
So it can't, so you have a month to get them ready And, you know, but what has to be in 48 hours is the recording.
What if we don't start with the secretary? What if we start with like figuring out,
Share.
yeah, and
Okay.
see what's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Scott was doing it before, right? Or who was doing it before?
Guy was doing it before.
But now she's had to take over,
She got
The
promoted.
assistant.
and
director.
she had, because they lost the Vista, and so she's had to take over all the trails to tomorrow.
Got it, okay.
So it's like, there's only so much a person can do in a day, and they're in the middle of that.
Yep.
It's always nice if you could have a backup. but-
In the budget, didn't the admin get combined with that and those jobs were supposed to be paid?
We have an
in such a
assistant,
way?
we have an assistant director of the economic development department now. We don't have an admin in the department. So. I mean, what would you like us to drop? Would you like us to drop trail to tomorrow, the STAR grant? What should we put aside to do these minutes for the TCAP? We can do this in this meeting.
We can make a recommendation that the admin continue to take the minutes. We're volunteer.
They don't have an admin.
We don't have an admin.
Okay,
We
so
don't have an admin in our office.
that was my mistake. I thought that the admin got combined when that promotion happened and that was gonna continue those duties. Apologies.
So if we need,
Discussion.
I mean, it would seem to me. Are we, are we handcuffing, meaning that, because there's technology.
Yeah.
You could just show me, like one thing, and that's like within 5 seconds. Can we explore technology to kind of look and then run that by everybody, and if that meets criteria, everybody's good with it, we can move forward?
Are there like, in the state code, are there specifications about what these minutes need to look like or not?
Not really. With previous two clerk auditors before, commission meetings would be like 3 pages maximum. With somebody made a motion, somebody seconded it, and it vote, I mean, it was, do you remember Diane's minutes? They were like, and now Gabe does very, you know, he really captures the meeting. So, and every time the auditors look at them, there's never been like, you have to approve these minutes, they have to see the minutes.
Okay, so can I make a motion that we explore some AI technology to be the minute taker? I will be happy to volunteer myself for that, based on this first meeting, and see what everybody thinks. Is that concise enough as a motion?
I think so. It's just been for the secretary.
Yeah, for
Position for an AI.
This is for the
Just-
AI.
Exploratory, yeah.
Exploratory.
I was looking.
I don't think that we
Oh,
should
yeah,
put
yeah,
in a secretary position right now, because it's brand new.
I was looking for the
So-
formal
Try it.
job.
Let's see how hard the job will be.
Yeah.
Because as Lori said, this is a volunteer board.
Mhm.
Everybody's got stuff to do. But I'm happy to explore technology to see how hard it is and then potentially make it easier
How often is this group meet?
Once a month.
once a month.
Okay. Has anyone been to like the Trail Mix meeting or the motorized trail committee meeting? They're monthly and they have a secretary and they do minutes, so that might be a resource to just ask someone who does it.
Let's
currently
see,
how
the
it's-
chamber
The
used
chamber
to-
does secretary,
chamber
but what's
used-
funny is I had this exact conversation at our retreat earlier and they wanted to turn that back to staff. So it's funny. That's all.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah.
Secretary's a tough position, because it takes a certain personality to do minutes and stay focused on
So-
that.
Would this secretary position have to be putting it all into the councils? I mean, how would that work?
I think we need to explore it. I just asked the AI question this morning, so,
Right.
I have a motion on the floor from Brian.
I
Is there
second
a
that motion.
second? From Sharon, is there any other discussion about it? Alex, no? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Yes to postpone it, for Brian to look into options for AI. All in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Alex?
He just enjoyed.
Oh, did you just join?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I finally got back.
Sorry, Alex. We just voted, to catch you up. We are going over, new positions for nominations and secretaries of discussion. And so we just took, we had a motion, Brian, started a motion, Sharon seconded, everyone's voting yes, to explore AI options, unless you wanted to be secretary of the Travel Council Advisory Board, that could be another option. You would be taking, minutes at the meeting.
Versus an AI.
We're exploring the option, unless you really like to do to be a secretary of an advisory board, to take notes.
I'm not sure if I would really like to do it. Having an AI sounds pretty interesting, so let's try that.
Any?
It's an eye.
It's denied.
Well, in our
Okay.
chamber, our secretary uses the AI.
Yeah.
I mean, that, just kind of clean it up.
Which one do you use then,
So
Laura?
that motion passes, right?
Yes, so motion passes,
So now I have a,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick myself for saying this. Who's gonna do this meeting? One. How would I, like, if I volunteered to try and do this meeting to see how it goes for me, how do I get this recording so I can even do it? Because I haven't been taking notes for this.
Whoever's hosting the meeting, are you
So
recording it?
it's right now recording in YouTube, so you just go to the Grand County YouTube,
Okay,
and then you can watch it over there.
okay, and basically you need the major points that were made. Like Maddie gave a report and talked about these things.
Just a real summation of what
Okay.
she said.
I will volunteer to attempt to come up with something, and then I will send it to Jenny to see if it's any good. I don't know, I might send it to maybe Sky and see if she could help me out a little bit, if that's okay with you.
Actually, send it to Melissa.
Melissa?
Yeah, you send it.
I'll send it to Melissa and just see how it goes. I will attempt to do it, and if it goes okay, I will volunteer to be secretary. Okay. If it goes okay.
Yeah.
And
Thank
you know,
you,
you
Jen.
don't have to, I wouldn't sweat it, because the beauty of Newt now is we do have the recording.
Right,
So you can go back and check anything. So
okay.
the minutes need to capture the main things that happened. in the-
Melissa, will you send me a couple of the last few minutes that we approved so that I can just see the form?
Yes.
Yeah.
Minutes are minutes, not hours.
Okay.
That's what-
I love
Please
that.
remember,
I love that.
Yeah.
Great, should be posted.
Follows the agenda somewhat too.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Sharon,
have the agenda.
just add the
Add the
points in
notes.
each section.
Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah,
So I'm on the
I'll
hook.
kick myself later,
Yeah.
right?
We have
No,
to
we're
take
still looking at AI stuff.
Okay.
You volunteered to do that. I'm volunteering to
Happy
try
to do
this meeting.
As someone who reads a lot of minutes for different things, I will say like if you end up with AI and it's pages and pages and pages, if you're trying to make it an accessible document, it's a lot easier if it's, the highlights, discussion
Yes.
ensues, and then someone can look at the recording if they are really curious about an issue, because otherwise you end up.
And that's what's been going in like in the paper and stuff, is just discussion and it was voted on and it was approved.
That's what's going on in the Sundays.
Yeah.
The Times.
When they
there's a
do
much
stuff.
more
Yeah, okay,
in depth.
I'll attempt.
In
So
the
they
city of Moab, before Rachel Stenta left, every agenda, every minute, everything, if you want to go online and search something and find out when something happened in the city, grammar request, whatever, you can just do it online because it was that thorough, but that stopped when she left.
So maybe a little more thorough, but not all the way.
I think there's like transcription things I know that we use for our meetings. And then you can go through and edit it, and I'll send you the first draft so you can kind of
Okay.
see, and then maybe we can collab and be like,
Mhm.
these are the, like, if it stood out to you and it stood out to me, this should probably be in.
Great, thank you. I think we can move on to chair, discussion of it. So I've been chair for a while. Was trying to look at the bylaws, there's not a maximum. I did like, Brian's email about changing it up, so any other nominations for chair?
Anybody interested? Like,
Alex, are you interested?
For chair, taking over chair.
No, I just.
I am not interested in taking over the chair, but I would nominate Brian.
I would second that nomination.
I open my mouth. Yeah, honestly, guys, it's just coming from the Trail to Tomorrow stuff and the meetings. I mean, Rebecca and I were both in there and it kind of came up that the perception, kind of like Howard, is that what we say doesn't matter, but the feeling is we're not taking action. We can recommend what we want, whether the council chooses to listen or not is a separate story. But I think, just as this meeting has shown, we all have different perspectives on things. And I think that you two ladies have done an amazing job, quite honestly. But I think if we did a better job of like, okay, this year we have so-and-so as chair and this person as vice. And I think that we independently need to do a better job of, like, one of the things that came out of the Trail to Tomorrow meetings for the hospitality committee was they really wanted to get together more often and just talk story. And so Rebecca and I have taken it upon ourselves to kind of create that opportunity monthly for the hospitality, hotels, campgrounds, tourism association, call it whatever you want to. It's not anything official. It's basically get together and more community outreach, I think, that we can hear what people are concerned about and then bring it to this board. So, Rebecca, you want to say anything about that?
I think you covered, if you guys would get with Howard, so Howard is our hospitality chair, committee chair for the chamber. That's all.
I think mixing it up is a really good idea.
I do too.
I mean, it's a big job and Jenny's been doing a lot of heavy lifting for a really long time.
Yeah.
And she's gonna be lifting a few other things.
He's a little
also.
busy right now.
Kind of baby.
And not that she's not willing, but I think.
I mean, I'll accept it just because I brought it up and I don't want to be a pain in the ass by bringing it up and I'll be like, I don't want it. But I don't want it, but I'm happy to do it. Just to be like, okay, you guys asked, here, we did it. So, I mean, I'm happy to do it.
So do we make a?
Can we take a vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a motion from Alex, he's nominating Brian to be the chair of the Trail Council Advisory Board. I have a second from Sharon. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of Brian being chair of the Trail Council Advisory Board for the next year?
You want to hurt my feelings?
Aye.
Say it.
Is it
Aye.
unanimous, Alex? Okay.
Great. So
Yep.
there's no. Fantastic.
But this wasn't the point. This wasn't the point.
I think you do a great job, Ryan.
I think so too.
It's really.
Thank you. Going on to the next one, so we can hopefully do member reports is vice chair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Alex. I didn't make a motion, Alex. I'm just throwing it out there.
In discussion, Alex, what do you think of being vice chair?
Say yes.
If you need some backup, I can be your wingman.
All right, I make a motion to nominate Alex as the vice.
I second that.
I second, I third it.
Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Great.
opposed?
Good.
Congratulations, Alex.
All right, and then next, I think we should move on to member reports. We haven't met for quite a while, just to kind of get an update from everyone, and then we'll just put off discussion of approval of bylaws to the next meeting. I'll start first. Red Tail Air, we just did, we're doing connections. We fly to and from Salt Lake City and then Vernal. Speaker was saying Tuesdays and Thursdays. We are getting a lot more reservations. It's a little bit slow to start, but we're getting a lot more. And also another update is we acquired Moab HeliX. We did not buy their helicopter. They just decided not to remain in business. We've taken over their website. So if you book with Moab HeliX, you'll be coming to Red Tail and going on ours. And then also I'm going to be attending Go West at the end of the month. I'm really excited. It's a conference and just kind of meeting with other buyers, just to kind of bring more groups to Moab, and Melissa was great 2 years ago when I went to introduce me to a whole bunch of other people and Utah's Office of Tourism, so I'm really excited to go back. Hopefully get some more contracts for Road 10. That's an update for me.
Awesome. I, as a member of UTIA, went to Tourism Day on the Hill. I found it to be, very informative, and there's a lot of information that they shared that I thought was effective. Behind all the data that they provide for us, there's always a story, and we were one of the counties that had a decline in our TRT revenue last year. There were other counties that did not have a decline. I think there's always a story behind that. I think that our, speaking from personal experience, our spring last year was very soft because the ski season was great. It was a little contradictory for me to think that our governor asked us to, in whatever spiritual form we have, to pray for moisture. And in our house, we did. And so when it came, we couldn't really gripe. And so we just decided that we were gonna be happy every single day. Didn't matter if we were waiting, because April's a big month for us. And if March, April didn't happen last year, we finally got going about third week of May. But we had a really great moisture year, and you know what? That's our value system, and so we stuck with that. Might be part of the story behind some of those numbers. We don't provide TRT, we are TRCCA. However, I'm gonna bet that we're not an anomaly. I'm gonna bet hotels had similar experiences. I believe that in a bear market that we just have to do better. We just do better. We find better marketing. What Ben was saying, let's attract people. Let's not be afraid of visitors. The visitor economy in Utah is $12 billion a year. That doesn't include film. That's different. But $12 billion a year comes to the state of Utah because we have a really cool spot. That's why I live here. I wasn't born here. I came here for the beauty. And I get inspired by being around other people who really love hospitality. And so that for me was a good experience. That's all I got. If anybody's interested in any of that data, I brought extra this year because last year we were all sort of trying to pass around merchandise.
Chamber World, so like Ben said, we got this grant money and we are working on putting that money to work for sure. So next week, we have a luncheon that is open to all business. We're going to launch a training program that's monthly trainings for all businesses in Grand County. You just have to register. This guy, he does a live session and he does a Q&A each month, and he's just a business consultant. And then he also has kind of a library full of training resources. So basically what we've done is we've got an account with him and worked out a deal to where we can offer that to all businesses in the county. And so he's going to talk all about that next week at the luncheon. It's at the Element. The lunch is free. Tell all your friends, tell them to come.
Yeah, kind of training service?
So he has like a whole range from like workforce practices, marketing. I think there was some finance in there. I mean, it's just like really well-rounded business practices. So yeah, there's a lot in there.
You have to register.
You have to register. We're having it at the Element. And it's at 11:30, I think. We did that one earlier just because we were trying to get a little more. We're hoping for a big turnout. Right now, it's Moab style. RSVP is a little bit low, but
Until the day.
but the day before we'll pack it, I think. I'm hoping. So that's the first. So we have that event next week. The following week, we have the customer service and sales trainings going on. Brad Anderson's coming down. We're going to Red Cliffs for that one. we have, one of our customer service sessions is full, the other is nearly full. We still have lots of room in the sales, and that's one that I'm really hoping that we can get. I mean, you can upsell anything, right? And so really that's kind of what his training focuses on is sales and upselling. So like if you're a hotel and you've got somebody, well, you know, upgrading your rooms or whatever that is. So, so yeah, if there's any interest, or again, tell your friends, it's free. We're also going to give vouchers for lunch out at Red Cliffs that day. So yeah, just getting as many businesses in the know as possible about these things. The next week is Moab, Tourism Education Day, and that's gonna be at the Hoodoo, and we have people from the Utah Office of Tourism coming down to talk about, trends, stats, strategies, all of that, how you can get involved at a state level. We also have our local economic development department. They were gonna help us with all of those same things locally. We're going to have resources like UTIA, just ways that you can get involved as businesses in the tourism sector, in the tourism industry. And then without promising it yet, because I don't have someone for sure to do it. We're hoping to do just an overview of TRT, particularly the Grand County carve out. That's the part that nobody wants to touch at the state level. So I haven't found anyone yet, but we had the idea today. Maybe we'll talk to Gabe or Stephen. We'll see what we can do there. But that's gonna be at the Hoodoo on March 4th. So there's an event a week for the next 3 weeks. Just plan on at least telling everybody, if you can't be there, tell 3 people that they can't be. So, and all of them are free, all of them include lunch.
Is that a Monday?
It's, sorry, which one?
March
March
4th.
4th is a Monday.
I'll put in a little plug too, because we have our monthly volunteer event in that evening, so
Oh, okay.
we're trying to maybe start conversations about volunteerism. So if anyone's interested in that, it's 2
Cool.
hours in the evening for some volunteer trail work.
Okay.
We had the one last week, and we actually got a fair number, like a surprising amount of out of towners for February, so stay out there.
Cool.
March 4th.
And then we are also looking forward to a quarterly training. We don't have the detail on that yet, but that'll be at the end of March. So, yeah, that's.
Can I ask you a question? Am I allowed to? Chair?
She's the chair.
Chair?
Yeah, ask me a question.
Almost.
Yeah, no, just
Yeah.
in general, maybe it's a no-brainer, I just wanna make sure, cause I am on social media, a lot, doing my things, but we are all sharing amongst ourselves, the chamber stuff, the Discover Moab stuff, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
that's an ongoing, theme of circulating and collaborating. via
Yeah,
You tell one person, but when you tell one person, it's actually telling 300 because it's such and such, and each of our followers are very different
yeah.
things, so I'm just throwing it out again into
Yeah.
the
So,
world,
yeah,
like,
we put those 3, so those 3 things are advertised in the newspaper and they're on our social sites, and then we talk to Sky and Melissa about putting them out through theirs, and if anyone else has a listserv that you want to share it with, just let me know and I'll send you.
Send it over, we'll send it out.
Yeah,
Stuff.
cool.
some
Great.
things, yeah, and then you share your stuff that you share.
Yeah, great. Sure.
Okay, so 2023 at the MIC ended, pretty even against 2022. I mean, it was so close. January was slightly up, but February is quite a bit down. It's really slowed down. In February. The other thing is the MIC hours will change to seasonal hours, 8 to 5 on March 10th, and then the restrooms will be open until 9. One of the major concerns going on right now that we're not sure what's going to happen is with this new parking, Center Street, the center parking on Center Street. The way they have it designed, it's not conducive for people using our parking lot. It isn't. I emailed everyone who I was supposed to email. No one ever got back to me. They're starting to do it. It looks like they're doing what they're planning. It only has one crossway where you can get all the way across from, and it's actually our exit area. Cause if you notice, our parking lot flows one way, goes around. So if you're coming in with a truck with a trailer or one of the buses or even the semis that come in there sometimes, you have to come in the first one so you can park this way. The way they have it, the only way you can get all the way across, like to turn left, coming out of the parking lot is through the exit one. So if anyone's coming from the east, they're either gonna have to go all the way down, do a U-turn, come back and come in, or they're gonna have to come in the parking lot backwards. The other issue is it's so close with parking in front of where you would enter. I'm not sure a bus is going to be able to make the turn. Like I said, I emailed my concerns to everyone. Talked about it with a bunch of people. No one has returned anything. The way it looks where they're digging up right now is they don't care. So that's
the
just.
beauty of having Jason.
Right, I will ask them about it.
Yeah.
I met with the fire department because they had concerns.
I wasn't able to go to that meeting that night because we had our board meeting, our CNHA board meeting, and so.
And I thought that in Michael Black, the guy who's kind of overseeing this, I guess, from the city,
Nobody.
had your concerns, and I thought he had.
Nobody has come in. In fact, Monday morning, when they had trailers in the parking lot, and all the work vehicles, parked in that center parking, I went out, tried to find out who was in charge. The guys were very nice, whatever the contractors are really, really nice guys. I said, asked who was in charge. He had just walked across the street and he goes, well, what can I help you with? And I said, this isn't actually a public parking. I said, where you have the trailer right now, that's fine, because that's a loading zone, that's fine. But all of these work vehicles parked right here in the center, we need this for downtown businesses and the Moab Information Center. Can you just pull them to the end, to the backside? And so they did move them, but then today they were all over again.
Yeah.
Nobody has come in and talked to us about anything with that budget
All right.
at all.
And CNH
Good to know.
leases that parking
That
lot.
parking lot is part of the lease,
Mhm.
so
From the county.
from the county, it's county property and that parking lot's part of the lease. We've had this before when they were talking about parking stuff, because I went to actually Roxanne and I went to a big meeting where they had all the maps. And they had public parking, and it's like, yeah, that's not public parking. So, but anyway. Back to positive. Thank you so much, Chamber, for the training that you're gonna be doing at Red Cliff Lodge. I've got, most of my staff will be attending, for the customer service. If anyone has not been to a Brad Anderson training, you need to go. He is really, really good, because we had one here before. He's really good. And because of the training that you guys are doing with the customer service, I don't have to do that in my staff training. So if anyone's interested, you want to come to our staff training, it is March 12th and 13th, 8 a.m. to 11, one day. Both days are the same, so one or the other. And I'm going to be focusing on having positive mindsets and dealing with stress and getting outdoors to deal with your stress, because look where we live. Come on. So that's what I've been working on, is all getting the staff training stuff done. And I'm excited. The Public Lands Alliance Conference I'm going to the first part of March is actually doing a few of the educational sessions on dealing with stress and getting outdoors. So it's kind of a theme this year, so. No, San Francisco.
I know we're over the limit, everyone's 3 minutes to go. I have about 5 more minutes myself, but we're slow. But you started at a new place.
Well, yeah, I started, I've only been there like a month,
Mm,
so
Congratulations.
thank you. I like it. It's great. It's fun. New crew.
Cool.
We're slow. That's about it.
Yeah, kind of echoing what Rebecca said, it's slow to launch too. That being said, 2023, we finished, kind of shared at the Trails of Tomorrow. Means 2021 obviously was a record year for the lodge. And even at a record year, the lodge finished at 72% year-round occupancy, which for the lodge is huge. 2022, we finished at 68% year-round occupancy. And in 2023, we finished at 66% occupancy. That being said, revenues have grown because we've raised prices. We've also expanded our services. We've included a wellness spa, updated our activities, do a lot more things on property. So we're making more money, but the visitor decline has been there. That being said, this year so far though, even though it's slow, we are now, as of today, 17% ahead of last year, which is a positive sign. And our first and second quarter is tracking ahead by about 12%. For the rest of the year, our booking window is 58 days out. So what we have on the books is beating last year, same time. So that's good, but we put a ton of effort in last year into PR and marketing. SisterWise was a part of that. Since it aired in January, we've booked 10 more weddings in 2024 and 2025, which are destination weddings. And most of them will probably have at least $100,000 spent. So that's huge, to just add to what Ben was saying. And truthfully, we still continue to get stuff. Our philosophy is what's good for us is good for everybody. A rising mission raises all boats. We have gotten a ton of press about Moab. Good Housekeeping just released the top 25 places to visit in March. I don't know if everybody saw that. Moab's in the top 5. That was picked up by Travel + Leisure magazine. They're online as well as Photos on Photos.com. It has had close to 4 million hits. So this is stuff that, yes, we are mentioned by as their preferred choice to stay when visiting Moab, but the article is about Moab. And that kind of collaboration is kind of what I was talking about with Rebecca and I, and taking the Trails to Tomorrow thing. We don't know if we're going to tie into UTIA. We don't know if we're going to try into the Utah Lodging and Hospitality Association, or if we just do a Moab thing and it's a Moab thing. But we definitely want it to be hospitality and tourism related. So if you're in any way, shape, or form in that business, which is 60% of Grand County, you're more than welcome. Rebecca's going to be sending out invites, and then we have kind of a short survey to kind of just get a pulse check on everybody. So that's coming up. Big news is we are doing again May 22nd. Last year, this will be our 3rd year that we are partnering with Good Things Utah. We do a live broadcast to kick off summer, basically right before June. We are paying for their show, their live broadcast. It will be on a Wednesday this year, the 22nd. We have 8 spots that we're paying for. Bega's getting a segment, which she doesn't know about yet.
Didn't know about that, but thanks.
75th film. We have a segment that we are using to promote the John Wayne Cancer Foundation on, which will be on the 1st, which is at 300, they've hit their goal. So anything at this point is above and beyond that, which will be bringing a ton of business into Moab. We only have 20 rooms left the day of the race because we have a wedding that has bought out the lodge, which is not good for the foundation because they're like, what do you mean? You're the sponsor. Like, you only have 20 rooms for us? But there was a lot of, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And we had to get business in. That being said, we have our partners. We're pushing out visitors. That's 300 people that are coming in and teams that are coming to run that race as of right now. And we're still 4 months out. That will also be a segment on that Good Things Utah. We will have one for our big announcement. Worst kept secret in the world, but I have to keep it a secret for now. But a good thing that will be happening at the lodge coming up. We're going through a major remodel over the next 16 months. Basically just in the rooms and for, but it's gonna be really cool when it's done. And then what do you all think we need to promote going into summer? We have the spots. What would you like to promote? I would love to get it more, here's what Moab's about, less of what, because last year it was pretty much all of it and Redtail. I mean, we did have Big Iron Tours, which saved our butt last minute because we had one vendor that backed out last minute. But I'd really love to open it up And if you have something that's gonna be cool and newsworthy and promotable, that's gonna get people to Grand County, please come see me. Send me, shoot me something. So we're doing a planning meeting in March. Love to get you on the docket. We're paying for it.
Are there
So,
any river, like organized river events?
I don't know,
That's kind of what I was trying to think of, water activities.
Oregon.
No.
The
so
last one I saw was Navtech was on it and there's different, other people buy spots, but
Right.
they pay for themselves, obviously, right? They pay for them. It is live television, just super stressful, by the way.
Yeah.
I remember you freaked out last year because the land.
But it's an incredible opportunity. Thank you so much.
absolutely. So last year, that was their best Good Things Utah broadcast. They almost won an Emmy for their broadcast. Just so everybody knows. It was the most well received that they've had. They reran it Labor Day or Memorial Day weekend, or the after Memorial Day weekend. So the beginning part of June, we picked up almost $400,000 of business. Because we coincided with a launch of our Sizzling Summer promotion. And people bought it like you wouldn't, and we just gave a $100 gas card out. If you bought 2 nights. So it worked, it got a lot of people to the lodge. So just throwing that out there, anybody has. But I know Ben's cautiously optimistic about this year, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about the tourism vibes in Grand County. There are less people here, but we're seeing them spend a little bit more. So that's all I got.
Jason?
Excited to be back. It's been a few years. I don't really have a lot. The city's kind of, I guess, ripping up streets for parking.
Everywhere.
Yeah, pretty soon we'll be ripping up King Creek in a couple weeks, so, got some kind of big projects going on. You know, I'm sorry to hear that there's impact. I knew there was gonna be impact, but, on businesses, you know, but hopefully the finished product is something that we can all live with, but obviously there's some things that probably got overlooked and stuff and we need to deal with. That's about all I have for right now.
I didn't realize they were breaking them all up at once. They literally, it's like you turn left and you're like, wait, more, more.
Well, they're doing Center Street all at once, and then they're doing the little things.
One right outside here. I was
They
like,
killed
well,
our-
they're not doing Center
I
Street.
know.
They're not doing the other side.
I gotta
Not the
go.
west
Mary,
side.
do you have a name?
No, they will, no, they're not doing the other side this time.
Yes, they're here to say hi.
It's on, it's on
Yeah.
that. What looks at the, towards the back.
Yeah, they're doing this side first.
Yeah, this side
Yeah,
first,
yeah,
and then
they're
they
doing this
will be
side
doing
first.
the other. side.
And they're doing the other side,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I don't know, Alex, are you on?
No, he's gone.
Oh,
Jamie?
the only
Yeah, can I just
issue,
give a real
the other
quick-
thing is, you know, cause the
Yeah, I know, I'm
semi
not a member.
Yeah.
Please. I
I
know.
would park in the middle of Center Street to deliver to all the places. Now we have Bella's Deli again, or now. I'm anticipating if they can get into our parking lot, they're gonna be parking in our parking lot, do that now.
And Tammy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here from the airport's, thank you. I know I'm not a member, it's not my spot, but I do have some information to share about the new airline. If you haven't heard already, Contour did get a code share with American Airlines. Which what that means is now their flights from Moab to Phoenix and Phoenix to Moab will now be American Airlines flights. That change hasn't physically happened quite yet, but that's, you know, that paperwork's all been done. So look for that change to come, which will really help with ticket sales.
Did you get your mileage?
Each mileage, the other big part of that is better terminal space in Phoenix. That means now that flight goes into the American Airlines terminal rather than the Terminal 3 or whatever, the, you know, third class. The other big news is that SkyWest has bought 25% of Contour. And bottom line for us is
you know, there's a lot of things I can discuss about it, but bottom line is that opens up the United to Denver flight for Contour. So I'm working with Contour on that. They are well aware that we want that, that route. And so I'm working with them on that. And, I think what we should do as a community is, like we did with the Salt Lake Denver, is have both those flights available. So I'll be working on that with Contour, and we'll have to go in and amend our essential air service, but we've done it before, so, I'm pretty confident that will be.
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
For our locals, but also for our visitors, because we can see a lot of people coming with a Rocky Mountaineer, and they
Yeah,
don't want to
I've
do
heard
that
a lot of
because of
that.
the flight.
Yes.
So is there anything we can do to help that? Like, do you need support in that, or it's just?
You know, I do plan on being here more, this year. I do need you folks. I am a one-man show essentially. So everything at the airport I have to do. And marketing is a big part of what I need to do for our airport, and I really need assistance with that. Contour is coming in with $25,000 pledged to our community for advertising the airline. So I will be connecting them with you guys.
Great.
And so, yeah, just kind of getting the word out. I get, you know, a lot of emails. How do I get the Moab now? So you know, what I'm looking for is to get that word out with everybody. I know Melissa kind of sent out an email, but if we
Yes, I
could
did.
work again with working with the local businesses and letting them know.
I get more clicks on my Contour shares.
Same here.
I mean, my CNY shares about what's going on at the airport than anything else.
Yeah, our Facebook, I see our Facebook post on that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I have, you know, direct contact with the CEO of Contour, so if businesses have concerns, or wanna set up some sort of business relations with them, let me know, I can get you contacts. And then, from what I'm hearing from them is that our ticket sales are looking really, really good. They compared us to their well-established markets.
Oh, wow.
So for a startup, they're really impressed with our ticket sales. I don't know those numbers, but,
It's two right now, back and forth.
Sorry, guys,
Okay.
I got the
Flights?
it's one.
It's one now until.
Until the end of March, and then we'll go up to 3.
That's good because Denver just opened a new United Lounge and everybody's
alright.
changing their membership from Delta to United. So, yeah. That's
Okay.
good.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tammy.
See you guys next month, I guess.
I'll make the counties very brief. I'll call you tomorrow because we're going to DC and we're having meetings with FAA to talk about essential air. So that
Oh,
might be able to
perfect.
help you in March.
Yes.
I just wanted to say the county felt really good about the French trip, the people that came from France, and that we got the recognition as a friendly place to visit. Because we've gotten quite a bit of kickback about our responsible, with our advertising, always pushing the responsible, always pushing the responsible. We've gotten kickback from people saying that we're acting like we're not friendly, we're not welcoming, we're pushing people away. We've gotten a lot of pressure over the last year, and I think this proves that we're not. Our responsible recreation message is a good message. So, and we're just working really hard to promote good bills with the legislators and stop bad bills. So that's all I'm doing right now is watching what's going on. So, okay. That's it. Okay. We've lost our chair and our.
Can we make a motion to adjourn the meeting? Any second? Okay, that being said, meeting